Hello, Happy New Year. Welcome back to Just Not Career podcast, the show that explores unconventional career paths and celebrates those who dare to break the mold. I'm your host, Nancy Gitonga, and today's episode is packed with insights from a true innovator and navigator in the business world. But before we dive into today's conversation, a heartfelt thank you to our incredible listeners for your ongoing support. Your enthusiasm and feedback drives us to bring you more inspiring stories each week. We truly appreciate you being part of the Just Not Career podcast community. And now, let's get to it. Our guest today is a name synonymous with creativity, leadership, and a whole lot of fun in the business arena. He is the managing director of Ultra Events and Events Academy, and also he works as an activation manager at the African Management Institute. So, if you hear us saying AMI, we are talking about the African Management Institute. Buckle up for a short but impactful conversation with Harold, or as we call him, Harry, to explore this unique approach to business, leadership, and events management. Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode. And today we have Harry. Harry will be able to take us through his journey. And I met Harry in campus, and he's been a friend for a long time. So, welcome to the studio, Harry.
Thank you, Shiko. What do you go by the name Nancy?
Yes,
Which
Nancy.
one? Nancy.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nancy. So formal.
So, you'll take us through your journey
Sure.
and career journey, and the starting point is from your childhood dream. So, what you dreamt of becoming when you were older, and then what you did in undergrad, and then did you get jobs with the same degree that you had in campus? And if not, now you tell us what you did before and the career transitions in between.
Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Harry. Yes, as Nancy said, long-time friend from campus. What did I want to be when I was younger? So I was a big fan of Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys and all those books. So one of the things I really wanted to become when I became an adult was to become a spy.
Wow.
Okay. And also because of movies, I really thought that would be the place I'd want to get into. But I think, as most people, the more you get to grow up, the more you get introduced to very many careers and career options. So along the way, there's a time I wanted to become a doctor. When I got to high school, and then I think one of the first times we went to the lab, and we were asked to look into the microscope and to draw what we were seeing. I couldn't see anything, so just like, no, I don't think I'll continue with this. Then the other thing is, I also thought at some point that I'd become a pilot. Still in high school, there was a randomization process for those people who actually get into that field. Unfortunately, I was not chosen, so that went like that.
What was the reason behind not being chosen?
There's no reason, it's just a randomizer. I think so. The high school I went to, so I think most people also went there because there was that option of pursuing aviation.
You can tell us the high school name.
Man High School.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. So, but then again, I think, yes, it was a randomization process back then on who would be eligible to take that. To be a pilot, and I mean to go for that. So unfortunately, I did not make it. I was not chosen. So I took German and French, which I can't speak even today. So I think along the way that dream died. Then at some point I thought I'd probably get into IT. Very fascinated with that. So immediately after campus, I enrolled into a college which is no longer there. The last time I went there, I think it's now a boutique shop somewhere on Mombasa, on Moy Avenue.
Okay.
But I did my diploma in IT. And then later on joined KU. So when I went to KU, I was called to do Bachelor of Science General. So I was doing physics, chem, can't remember the mathematics. Yes. But I was so sure. I wasn't going to pursue sciences. So yeah, during the second week, we were allowed to actually change our courses. So I thought of doing law because I really loved humanities. So the day for when we needed to go to transfer to the different now career choices, so to say, so to speak, when I went to the humanities school, they told me that for me to change to law, I had to go all the way to Parklands.
Yeah.
Now, on the same day, because it was on a Friday, my friends were going out. Just like, hey, if we go to Parklands all the way, will I come back and get them? It's like, no, that's too far. So I asked the person who was there, what's the next thing closest to law? And then they told me political science, and that's how I got into political science. It wasn't a big thing. It wasn't manna dropped from heaven or any insight, but that's how I got into political science, and I really loved it. I really loved it. And one of the things that really fascinated me with that course is the fact that you get to really understand where you're coming from as a society, and how you can use those learnings to be able to create a future for other people, especially in leadership context. So that's what happened during my campus. First year, second year, I was very sure I was going to pursue politics. And then I got involved with a certain campus ministry called Journey, which had a leadership program called Ascent. And they were able to now introduce me to a whole different world in terms of how to look at leadership, how to serve other people, which is, in our Kenyan context, leadership and service don't go hand in hand. But they're able to actually usher me into that world. From that experience, I was able to learn about team building and how to engage people, how to organize events. And I think looking back, that really ushered the kind of careers choices that I've had over the period. Yeah.
Okay. So you did political science. It was 4 years, right?
Yes.
And then now after campus, how now did you transition now to the job searching area, and what did you do?
So I actually started working when I was in school. So I used to do quite a bit of research field work for just those to be gigs that you get from different organizations that are looking for field researchers. So I used to do that. And then the other thing that I used to do is I used to write manifestos for politicians in the campus. So I'd write for Nancy, I'd write for the next person, I'd get paid to do that, and a few other hassles here and there. But the first formal job that I did was actually an internship at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So I did that for 8 months. Learned a lot, and the thing about that is I was able to still do some of the things that had started becoming my passion. So being able to organize events. So I was part of the diplomatic team that was organizing events for diplomats whenever they're in the country and things like that. And then later on, I got an opportunity. They actually asked me to stay a bit longer, now on a much more formal basis. But I'd already made up my mind. With a couple of my friends, we started a certain organization. That's Inuka. So we started Inuka, which was meant to help first jobbers and people transitioning from campus to the corporate world on how to actually position themselves to get jobs. So we started that, around 5 of us. We'd actually also gone through Journey in campus. So we did that. It's still in existence up to date, and we've been able to train over 800 participants through that whole period.
Okay.
So got into Journey, into Inuka. I did that for a while, and then I did that for around 2-3 years before I got an opportunity to work at Kubamba. So back then, Kubamba used to have a program with Citizen TV. So what we do is I was in charge of doing organizing events and discipleship programs in the campus spaces. So going around the country in different campuses, just engaging them in matters, discipleship, evangelism, um, thinking through their careers, leadership conversations, and quite a number of things. So that's what I did for Kubamba for around 4 years, and I left that organization in 2017 because now I wanted to pursue full-time event organizing and management for corporate clients and also team building. So that ushered me into, so I started a company called Ultra Events. So our main product is doing corporate trainings and also organizing and managing events for different corporates. So did that full time till 2020, around April therein. To that extent, we've done over 200 engagements with top companies within the country, some international organizations. And it was really doing pretty well. Then COVID happened, and we had to really think through how best to continue running our programs, especially in the event space, and at the same time ensure that there's money coming in. As you can remember, at that particular point, even the government said most events had to be scaled down. Yeah. So together with my co-founder, we found a way to re-strategize and start doing virtual events on a large scale for international organizations as well as different government agencies and things like that. And in as much as COVID was here, COVID came in, we actually made more money during that period. So I started getting questions and inquiries from people in my field asking, okay, so what are you guys doing? How have you guys been able to do this and still be able to continue running your organization, pay the people you guys need to pay? Because quite a number of people, quite a number of businesses in my industry back then are closing shop. So I started doing one-on-one engagements just to help them brainstorm through their business models. And then at some point, I could not be able to do one-on-one. So I started organizing for like virtual info sessions to be able to talk through how to better strategize in terms of business. And then a friend of mine called Gibbs came up with this very brilliant idea. So he told me, because you seem to be very passionate about business and entrepreneurs and helping them to build and grow their businesses, there's actually this particular organization that is doing the same on a continental level. And I think it would be a good thing to actually step into that space and see how I could be able to contribute, not on a one-on-one basis, but be able to do that on a scalable basis. Yeah, so that's how I got to join Africa Management Institute. So that's the main thing that I'm currently doing, Africa Management Institute. The business I started, Ultra Events, is still going on, but I do have a director, a manager who's handling everything, and they've been doing quite a good job. So just transitioning to employment now to Africa Management Institute. So it's a Pan-African organization that supports and enables business owners and ambitious business owners and corporates to be able to pursue their growth goals within their organizations. So what I do there, I'm the program activation manager. So that means, so at AMI we have programs for people who are employed. So say senior leadership, management level, supervisors, and also work entry level. So we have a business unit called MI Enterprise that takes care of them. And then now we have MI Impact as a business unit that is responsible for offering interventions to business owners across the continent. So that's what I'm largely involved in. So what that looks like is we do have different funders and partners that come into the MI ecosystem, and then we are able to offer our flagship programs to business owners either at a fee or at or on scholarship. So my job is to lead the team that is able to connect business owners across Africa with the different opportunities that we have. Yes, so that's what I do.
Okay. So my question will be, from Inuka, what are the skills that were very good for you to be able to be now taken up by AMI? Yeah.
I think some of the key skills amongst the very many, some of the key skills that I got at Inuka, number one was being able to learn how to manage teams. Okay. Yeah, because that's a big part of what I'm currently doing. So being able to form teams, understand what kind of people you need in your team, and then later on being able to understand what are their motivations, how can you best inspire them so that you can lead them towards a certain goal, and then also how can you be able to have the hard conversations, especially when it comes to accountability, and then also being able to figure out how to clearly dictate what success looks like for teams, so that whenever you get results, then there's ownership across board. I think that's the number one thing that I really took out of Inuka. Then the other thing is it allowed me to, in a sense, test some of the abilities that I currently have. So in terms of sales and being able to do pitches and things like that, for the say 8 years that I was involved at Inuka, I was able to continuously do that, have a chance to refine my skill in that aspect, so that I'm able to actually do it on an expert level in this day and age at AMI.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the other one will be, someone might ask, what is the difference between what you're doing right now and what like other coaches do in terms of coaching people for leadership and also for like business owners to handle their businesses?
That's a really good question. So one of the key things that AMI does and what we do that is very different from what other people are doing is the fact that we offer practical tools to entrepreneurs. So after interacting with the entrepreneurs and also being one of them, you quickly come to realize that entrepreneurs do not have all the time to go read books and sit in classes and get all this knowledge that they can't apply. So they're always looking for things that they can actually apply directly into their business. So AMI is able to actually give entrepreneurs practical tools that they can actually plug and play and immediately start seeing results within their business. And these tools are able to cover the key, the 5 pillars of running a business. So from your growth goals, because everyone always has like targets that they want to meet. So from your growth goals to how you're able to increase your sales, to how you're able to manage your finances in a manner that you can also use data to make data-driven decisions, to how you can systemize your operations so that you can cut off on wastages, and how you can also be able to upskill your team so that they can be able to help you as a business owner be able to pursue the growth goals of your organization. So that is well covered within what we get to provide. Then the other thing is our programs are largely online. So that means you have, or rather anyone who comes into our ecosystem for these programs, they don't have to spend money in terms of accommodation and travel to come attend the sessions. You can actually attend the sessions while you're running your business. So it's very practical. And then the other thing is we give you a very rich community of entrepreneurs across board, across the continent. Thereby, you can leverage on those relationships to also build and grow your business. So it's very practical.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are the pros and cons of the work that you're doing right now?
Oh wow, that's a good question. I think the pros, some of the pros that come to mind is the fact that there's real impact with regard to what we do. So it's always very interesting because I'm myself and my team, we are always at the forefront of meeting these entrepreneurs when they're coming in. So you can get to see the kind of challenges that they're going through within their businesses, and then when they come into the program, they're able to get the right interventions for their businesses, and then by the time they're graduating, you can see the transformation within their business. So that is definitely a big highlight with regards to what I'm doing. Then the second thing is you get to meet very amazing people. I think right now it's very obvious that for Africa to move to the next level, we are not going to look for solutions from our political leaders. No one is really coming to save us, and one of the best champions that we have is actually the business people within our ecosystem. So the fact that we get to meet these business champions who are providing dignity to the people that they get to employ, I think that's really wonderful. Then you also get a few opportunities, great opportunities to actually travel across Africa to meet these people, get to engage with them, and that's really, really exciting. And then also just having the opportunity to work with an amazing team that is really sold out to this particular vision is always something to look forward to every day. In terms of cons, I'm not sure what cons would look like, but also I think with the magnitude of what we are trying to achieve, that means there's so much work that needs to be done. So at times, if you're not careful, you actually get to find that you work quite longer hours, which means you might now need to be very intentional on how to balance your family life and also work life. But that tends to happen quite often. So I think over time, you just get to figure out how to balance those two.
Okay, I think you've answered even the next question I wanted to ask
all right.
about how you balance your social life and what basically do you do in terms of maybe like building boundaries, in terms of saying I am able to do this work, it's challenging at this point, but also I have to do this other thing.
Okay. So I remember my first few months of working again at AMI. I think I got a very severe back pain at some point. It was really, really, really bad. So when I went to the hospital, all the questions they were asking me was related to the work that I'm doing. So I used to sit very long hours in front of the laptop, not taking any breaks. So they actually challenged me to rethink that and figure out how to create a good work-life balance. So from that time henceforth, one of the things that some have been able to be disciplined in some of the things that can help me be able to have a healthy lifestyle even as I'm working. So small things like, for example, I do not work over lunch hours. So I think everyone in my team knows between 1 and 2, don't even set up a meeting with Harry because you need to be there. So I make sure that I actually go for lunch or take that break. The other thing is after 5:30, unless things are burning, you will not find me on phone or on email. So if you need anything from me, please let's talk before then, so that I can actually have enough time to do everything else and also show up for family the way I ought to be doing. I try as much as possible not to work over weekends unless, as I say, if something is burning. So just being able to ruthlessly prioritize, that allows you to be able to manage both aspects of life.
Okay. As we wind down, basically, we have maybe like 2 or 3 questions, but I'll join 2 together. One will be, what type of employee are you? And the other one will be, are you happy with where you are right now with your career? Or if not, you can give us your career aspirations.
That's a really interesting one. So the first one was,
are you happy?
Am I happy?
No, the first one was, what type of employee are you? Yes. And are you happy with where you are right now? If not, you can give us more career aspirations that you have.
That's really interesting. What kind of an employee am I? I think my bosses would be able to answer that better. But on a very subjective level, I think I'm a very loyal, driven, and accountable employee. But that's really largely drawn from my faith. So I do believe that if you're given responsibilities and you actually agree to take them on, then you need to be a good steward in that sense. So that's what I strive to do every day. Probably sometimes I fail, but that's what I strive to do. So if I'm to judge myself with regard to my intentions, rather than my actions, my intentions, I'd say that's who I am in terms of an employee. Am I happy where I am? Yes, I am. I am happy because I get to experience real impact with the people that I serve. So I just don't do work for the sake of doing work. And then the fact that within the organizations we are having really awesome conversations about growth, which is always a big thing. So because that there's a space to actually have those conversations, that means I'm also happy where I am. Is this where I want to be for the rest of my life? We don't know what the future holds, but my ultimate dream is to be able to own a facility that trains both entrepreneurs and also people who are looking to upskill on their life skills. And then also within that space have like a campsite, like a total 360 personal development and engagement space that is very hands-on. So that's like my long-term dream, and I think I'm on the right path with regard to what I'm currently doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you able to share with us your best moments during your career period, and also if you have a worst moment?
So I don't know what would be my best moments because I have not parallel but very compounded career interests. So as I said, I'm in ideally sales, I'm in event management, and I'm in team building. So if I was to pick my favorite moments in those spaces, I'd say team building would definitely be my very first corporate gig. It was for, I can't mention the company definitely, but it was for a very large international organization with around 400 staff members. So being able to pull that at an early level was pretty interesting. And that really set the company for like big growth in a very short time. For events management, definitely being able to run some of the biggest festivals that we've had in our country. So like Color Run, so my team was able to manage that event for 3 years cumulatively. So that was definitely a huge thing. And then at Inuka, definitely that would have been, I think all the graduations and all the camps that we ever did were a big highlight. And then at MI, the biggest highlight has been, so during my time at MI, I've been involved in one of the biggest research studies in Africa in conjunction with the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. So my task was to be able to onboard around 1,400 business owners for that particular research and intervention. And we actually were able to hit 20% by the end of this year. So definitely that's a huge highlight.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we're almost at the end, and I would want you to at least give an advice to anyone who wants to be where you are right now.
Okay.
Yes.
I think my advice would be stick to it, in the sense that what the career path that I am in, specifically when it comes to sales, it's very demanding, and I've seen quite a number of very highly creative, intellectual young people coming and drop off along the way. Not because they didn't have a chance to actually succeed in this, but just because they are not able to stick to it. I think there's value in sticking to what you said you're going to do. and then being able to see to the very end. If you get to do that, and if you have the right discipline, then I think the sky is not even the limit. You can go like really, really, really far. And also just knowing that in this, I think even in the next 100, 200 years to come, sales is the one thing that everyone will always need. Ask any business owner, any company, what's the one thing that they always need to have as they keep on going is definitely sales. So even as you have the AI and all these other things, we will still always need salespeople. And if you want to make good money, I think that's a space that you need to go into.
Okay.
Yeah.
The last thing, in just maybe 3 or 10 seconds, will be where will people find you in terms of maybe if they want ultra events?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So you can check me out on LinkedIn, Harold Angila. That will be the most ideal place, but also on Instagram, I think it's Harold Angila still, or on email, angila.harry@gmail.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Harry. It's been an honor to have you on the podcast. And until next time, karibu tena.
Welcome, Nancy.
Asante. Thank you all for listening to this episode. I hope you've learned that we can be able to use our skills and gifts to create our own businesses that will last and survive. We once again want to express our gratitude for your unwavering support. Your feedback, comments, and shares keep the Just Not Career podcast thriving. A huge thanks to Harry for sharing his insights into the dynamic world of uplifting businesses and leaders in different capacities by having skills and knowing how that can be channeled into a robust income generating avenue. Remember, the conversation doesn't end here. Connect with us on all social media to share your thoughts, suggestions, and even your own career stories. We love hearing from our listeners. Stay tuned for more incredible guests and diverse career journeys. Until next time, this is Nancy Gitonga signing off from Just Not Career Podcast.